Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Sri Radha Madhava ki Jai Nitya Lila Vishnu Vishnupada Tavange Sri A.C. Bhakti Vinod Swami Prabhupada ki ki Sadgoswami Prabhu ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki Sri Sri Krishna Baldao ki Srimad Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Dai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Samnavadi. All glories to the Samnavadi. All glories to the Samnavadi. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to you, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. So, on behalf of Shri Radha Mandir Mandir, we'd like to welcome his guest, Deen Bandhu Prabhu. Hari Bol. So, I would like to give a little brief introduction about Prabhu. So, Prabhu joined in 1969 in Boulder, Colorado, and in 1970 he first met Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles, where he also got initiated. Then he opened the first temple in Dallas, Texas. He was the president of Portland Temple from 1972 to 1978. Then in 1980 he moved to Colombia and he preached Spanish over there. In 1984 he moved to Vrindavan, and in 1986 he was appointed the temple president of Vrindavan, Krishna Balaram Mandir. For more than 3 years Prabhu was there, and since then Prabhu started the Vrindavan Parikrama, taking devotees to the various places of the Braj and describing the pastimes. And around 1988, Baba Madhav Das approached Prabhu for restoration project in Brinda Kund, where in 2003 we established a beautiful Brinda Devi deity over there, which Prabhu is maintaining. And also Prabhu was one of the main person for restoring the Samadhi of Sanatan Goswami and also restoration of Yamuna river. So we are very much thankful to Prabhu that we are getting his association. So we'd like to welcome him by 3 times chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. No, it's a great pleasure to be here again after a long time at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu and Sri Sri Radha Govinda Dev, Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani, and be at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada in this first temple of ISKCON India. This is the oldest temple in ISKCON India, established by Srila Prabhupada himself. So we're very, very happy to be here with all the Kolkata devotees. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. In Vrindavan we're also lucky we're in 10th canto also. We're way behind you. We're just entering, starting Mathura Leela, and very soon entering Dwarka Leela. So this is Canto 10, Chapter 86, my goodness. And I was told 8 and 9, but I see only 9 is here. Did we do 8 yesterday? Okay, I'll just read 8 and then we'll chant the number 9. Okay. So verse 8 and 9, starting with verse 8. Tamparam samanudyayan antaram prepsur arjuna nalevesham brahmachchitta kamenati baliyasa. Meditating only on her and waiting for the opportunity to take her away, Arjuna had no peace. His heart trembled with passionate desire. Purport by followers of Srila Prabhupada. Even while being honored by Lord Balaram, Arjuna was too distracted to appreciate the Lord's gracious hospitality. Arjuna's distraction and Lord Balaram's failure to recognize Arjuna in his disguise were both arrangements of the Supreme Lord to enjoy his transcendental pastimes. So we see in this chapter that Arjuna was traveling to different places, but he heard that they were trying to make arrangements for Subhadra to become married with who was it? Drona. No, but they wanted to marry her with Duryodhana. They wanted to marry with Duryodhana. But somehow Arjuna was struck with the beauty of Subhadra, so he wanted to marry her, and he began to think. When it was in Pravasetra, then he came back to Dwarka, and he disguised himself as a sannyasi. Described particularly here, he was Tridanda. Because we know the Mayavadis, they carry Ekadanda. Because they try to tell us that it is all one. Just like before I became devotee, that was also my philosophy. It is all one. We're all God. You're God, I'm God, we're all God. We used to take different types of intoxication and speculate at the speed of mind, and we'd ultimately come to the conclusion that it is all one. That I'm God, you're God. We used to ask ourselves, we become intoxicated, I'm God, you're God, we're all God. How did we miss it all this time? But we never understood the import of that question. The first time I met the devotees, I told Bhavananda Prabhu, because he was the first devotee I ever met, he said, but aren't we all God? And he said, oh, you are God, and how you have forgotten. At that time the question struck me like a ton of bricks. Because we used to ask, oh, I'm God, you're God, we're all God, how did we forget? We never understood it. If you're God, even in the catechism class, in the Catholic Church, they have this special class for the children called catechism class, where they teach them Christian philosophy. So the first thing we learned, God knows everything, but he forgot himself. How is it possible? So even these little catechism boys and girls in the Catholic Church, they're more advanced than the Mayavadis. They know God knows everything. And because at one point we were living in the mountains, and somewhere nearby there was a beautiful mountain peak, so we decided to climb to the top of the peak. But to get there was a big barbed wire fence that said this was the Boulder City water supply, and trespassers will be prosecuted. But somehow that was between us and the peak, so we wanted to get there, so we just climbed through. Anyway, somehow they caught us. They took us down. They threw us in jail. I was sitting in the jail, and I was in big anxiety. And I said, wait a minute. You're God. How can you be in anxiety? God can't be in anxiety. Inside the jail, outside the jail, it's all one. I sure wish I was out of here. So all my philosophy fell apart. inside the jail, outside the jail, it's all one. But I was in big anxiety. The only thing that's saved me was somehow or other the chanting of Hare Krishna had become famous amongst all the young people at that time. So 1 week before, we were sitting in the park and some girl came and she began playing her guitar and chanting Hare Krishna. So we all grabbed our guitars and we all jumped up and we were dancing all around the park chanting Hare Krishna. So I knew the mantra. So I was trying different things. I even sit on the bed and chant Om. But as soon as I stopped, and all the noise of the jail would come crashing down. I'm in jail. Wow. So then suddenly I remembered the chanting. So I started pretending like I had a guitar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And I was just chanting and chanting, and everybody, hey, shut up in there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It just didn't matter inside the jail, outside. I was just happy chanting Hare Krishna. Somehow or other, somebody came. They saw the police taking us, so they came and they bailed us out. So when Bhavananda, then I understood. Oh, then it was a great relief. Oh, no wonder I was in so much anxiety. I'm not God. So they tried to tell us that it's all one, but this is a foolish proposal. So the Vaishnava sannyasis, they carried Tridanda, that I'm going to worship the Lord with my body, with my mind, and my words. We understand that Krishna is, I'm also spirit, Krishna is spirit, but Krishna is the supreme spirit, Paramatma. And our duty is to render service to the Paramatma, render service to the supreme soul. So that resolved the whole difficulty. So then a few other questions and finally, because I joined on Janmashtami Day, so at midnight we had in those days we didn't know you're supposed to take an Ekadasi break fast. So we had the full-on feast with puri and paneer sabji and samosa and kachori and gulab jamuns. So I was just amazed at all this food. I never tasted anything like this. And then Bhavananda looked at me and said, "Do you know how to eat this?" And he picked up his gulab jamun. I said, "Nope." And he took the whole gulab jamun and threw it in his mouth. Boop. And I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So I popped that gulab jamun in my mouth, and all that sweet juice started coming out. I thought, wow, I made it to the spiritual world. Because Bhavananda was telling in the spiritual sky, taste is always increasing, sight is always increasing, sound is always increasing. Well, I made it. So I thought, anyway, if they keep feeding me like this, because they said that Madhava was chanting, dancing, and feasting, and the absolute truth will be revealed to you. I said, this is it. So I became a devotee. So anyway, he was disguised as a Tridandi sannyasi. Now even, this is interesting, because even Balaram, who's also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he couldn't recognize. So here, just in the purport, they gave a little hint that this was the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because somebody may get doubt that Baldauji, he's the older brother. So somebody may get doubt who's actually the Supreme. We know from Bhagavatam, after describing even Balaram's expansion and everything, Krishna's tu Bhagavan. Of all these, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But previously Balaram came as Lakshman, and he was the younger brother of Ram. And he didn't always agree with Lord Ram, but Lord Ram always convinced him. In fact, even at the end, Sita was coming from the Ashokvan in a palacan, and the Lord Ram told Lakshman, "You go and get Sita down from the palacan and bring her here walking." And Balaram's thinking, "My mother Sita, how could she walk on earth like ordinary woman?" But Ram insisted. So, my brother, what is he thinking? But Ram was thinking that all these monkeys, they fought this huge battle to save Sita. So at least they should get darshan. So that was Ram's bhav, that all the monkeys should also get darshan of Sita. And then Lord Ram told her, all right, you have stayed in the camp of our enemy. We don't know your condition, so you can go wherever you like. And then she was shocked, and she looked at Lakshman, and she said, Lakshman, I know this is due to all the offenses that I made to you. His ears were burning, and my mother Sita made offense to me. And she began to count all the offenses. At one time, just after their marriage, Lord Ram was sitting on the balcony, and Sita was there, and Lakshman was also there, because for his whole life he was just surfing Lord Ram. So Sita kept coming out to the balcony and sort of hinting to Lakshman that now you can go. And finally Lakshman said, what is this? So I've been serving Lord Ram my whole life. Now all of a sudden this person comes and my service is gone. What is this? And he looked at Lord Ram. Now Lord Ram's in trouble. If he takes Sita's side, he's in trouble with Balaram. If he takes Balaram's side, he's in trouble with Sita. He said, I can't answer this question. Only Vasishtha Rishi, he's the guru, he's impartial. Because if I give a decision, then people will say I'm partial. But Guru, he's impartial. So next morning he told Vasishtha Rishi, all right, I have a problem that only you can solve. And Vasishtha Rishi said, but Prabhu, you're the one who's solving the whole problems of the world. If you have a problem that you can't solve, what am I going to do? He said, no, only you can solve this problem. So Lakshman presented his case that I've served Lord Ram all my life, and now 1 minute to the next, my service is taken away by this person. What is this? This is anyaya. This is injustice. And Sita said, I came here to Yodhya, promising before the fire, before the Lord, and before the Vaishnavas, before the Brahmins, that I will serve Lord Ram with every ounce of my energy. And now, so I have the right to serve Lord Ram. So Vasishtha Muni sat for a second. He said, yes, when Lord Ram goes to the court, in all official matters, Lakshman has the right to serve him. But when he enters his house with Sita, his wife, then she has the right to serve him. And so that was a proper decision, but I know you were disturbed still. So I offended you then. Then she counted so many times when Ram left them to go, because there was a voice that chased after the deer. Then all of a sudden, Lakshman, Sita, and Lakshman, this is just some magic of the Brakshas. But Sita said, you go. He said, oh, you're not going. You were simply waiting that Ram will be gone, and then you can enjoy me. And then Lakshman's ears were burning, so I offended you so many times. Anyway, she recounted all the times. So Lakshman was just, she said, now you make a pyre, and I will enter into the fire and prove my purity. And he looked at Lord Ram. Lord Ram didn't say a word. And then he made that pyre, but it was just like he wasn't doing it. It was just somehow his body was acting, but his heart wasn't in it. And he made the sankalp, promise, vow, that in next incarnation, I'll be the older brother and I won't have to follow him. So he came as Baladev, as the older brother. And I'm sure if in Kalki incarnation, if Balaram is needed, he'll also come as older brother. And we see in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, Lord Nityananda, he's not physically the older brother, but Mahaprabhu treats him like Nityananda, like his older brother. So, but still, somehow or other, we're going to see Krishna gets his way. So by Krishna's will, although Lord Balaram's his expansion, he's also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By Krishna's Yogamaya pose is so powerful, even Balaram couldn't recognize. And then that one time, Balaram, he invited that sannyasi to come take prasad. So that time they saw each other. It says in the previous verse that just by the sidelong glances. Actually, one time in America they did a study and they interviewed men and women about what is the most attractive part of the body. And it overwhelmingly came, the most attractive part of the body is the eyes. Because that's where everything starts, from the little sidelong glances. Therefore, even today, if you go in the village in Vrindavan and you see all the village girls are just peeking out like this. Because everything starts from the eyes. So now, Arjun, he's completely captivated. He had no peace. His heart trembled with passion-like desire. So now we're on today's verse. Verse number 9. Mahatmyam Deva Yatrayam Rata Stam Durga Nirgatam Jaharanumata Pitro Krishnasya Cha Maharata Mahatmyam Deva Yatrayam Ratastam Durga Nirgatam Jaharanumata Pitro Krishnasya Cha Maharata Mahatmyam Deva Yatrayam Ratastam Durga Nirgatam Jaharanumata Pitro Krishnasya Cha Maharata. Anyone? Ladies? Mahatmyam, important. Deva, for the Supreme Lord. Yatrayam, during a festival. Rata, on a chariot. Stam, riding. Durga, from the fortress. Nirgatam, having exited. Jahara, he seized her. Anumata, sanctioned. Pitro, by her parents. Krishnasya, by Krishna. Cha, and Maharata, the mighty chariot warrior. Once, on the occasion of a great temple festival, in honor of the Supreme Lord, Subhadra rode out of the fortress-like palace on a chariot. And at that time, the mighty chariot warrior Arjun took the opportunity to kidnap her. Subhadra's parents and Krishna had sanctioned this. Translation, please repeat. Once, on the occasion of a great temple festival in honor of the Supreme Lord, Subhadra rode out of the fortress-like palace on a chariot. And at that time, the mighty chariot warrior took the opportunity to kidnap her. Subhadra's parents and Krishna had sanctioned this. Purport by the followers of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti identifies this festival as the annual Rath Yatra for Lord Vishnu on the occasion of his rising from mystic sleep at the end of Chaturmasya. Subhadra's parents are Vasudev and Devaki. So we just, a few days before was that Dev Uttan Ekadasi, the Ekadasi when all the Devas wake up. So that was the time. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadam Digam Adadanastranandan Tairidam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhujo Dalisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatruvishta Kripasindhu Vevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So, on that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that this must have been the Dev Uttan Ekadasi day, that when all the Devas wake up from their sleep for Chaturmasya. So we just was there about a week or 10 days ago. I guess now it's 2 weeks ago, huh? Today's 15th, huh? So it's quite some time, but very recently. So in the palace, or outside the palace, they had some festival, some sort of a Rath Yatra festival, where the deities were taken out on procession. So at that time, Subhadra came out, as described Durga, fortress-like palace. The palace was like a fortress. So Subhadra came riding out on a chariot. So Arjun took the opportunity at that time. He's the mighty chariot driver Arjun, chariot warrior, not driver, chariot warrior Arjun. So he kidnapped her. And Balaram, we're going to see, Balaram is furious. But still we see here it mentions that this was Anumata. That she had Anumati, she had permission from Krishna and Vasudev and Devaki. Had given her permission. So, because Balaram immediately he got all the warriors to chase after them, and he himself was ready to destroy Arjun when Krishna came and he said, "Hey thou, who's driving the chariot? If she's being kidnapped, who's driving the chariot?" So Balaram looked, he said, because Arjun was busy fighting off all the soldiers that came to stop him, so he was working his bow, so Subhadra was driving the chariot. So again, Balaram, somehow or other, although he's older brother, still Krishna got his way. So these are all divine pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His expansions and His devotees. So by hearing all these pastimes, it gives great joy to the devotees. Because hearing is the most important part of devotional service. Just like one time, Lord Chaitanya, he met Ramananda Roy, because after Sarvabhauma's conversion, then he told him that there's a person in South India. When you go south, then you be sure, and when you come to the Godavari, that you meet Ramananda Roy. He's very expert at relishing ras. He understands all these things. I never understood his greatness until you've showed me the light. So when Mahaprabhu on his South Indian tour, he came to what is that place? In Andhra Pradesh, what is it? Rajmundry, right, Rajmundry. And he met Ramananda Roy on the bank of the Godavari. And they had so many talks. And Mahaprabhu presented himself that I'm just a Mayavad sannyasi. I don't understand anything. So please tell me, what is the goal of life and what is the means to approach it? So Ramananda Roy presented, he actually from Shastra, he presented so many arguments that by following the Varnashram system, and Mahaprabhu said, Eho Bhaya, that is external. And he presented so many things, even presented our favorite verse from Bhagavad Gita that what is that? Oh, it's COVID, my brain gets funny sometimes. Sarvadharmam pritaja mamekam saranam vraja. That just give up everything and surrender to Krishna. So this is our favorite verse, and Mahaprabhu said no. And this is very shocking. Mahaprabhu said no. Then he presented one verse from Brahma's prayers, 14th chapter of 10th canto. Is very important. Brahma's prayers, they're quoted by the Goswamis in all of their literature many, many times. And he says, in the 14th chapter, there's one verse, Jnane prayasam udapasya namandeva jivandi sanmukharidam avadi vartam stane chita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir ye prayaso jita jitopasitais trilokyam. So he says, Jnane prayasam udapasya. On one recording, Prabhupada said, udapasya means kick it out. He said, prayas, means attempt. By this attempt by jnana and karma, he said, kick it out. Usko lati markar bahar kar do. Udapasya. You kick it out. Jnane prayasam udapasya namante eva. Jivanti sanmukaritam. Jivanti, lead your life. How? Sanmukaritam. In Sanskrit, when T comes before inner M, then it also changes into inner M. So the actual word is Sat. And in Mukh, you all know, Sat means the truth, and Mukh means the mouth. That from the, or Sat means a devotee actually, because devotee is always speaking the truth. So Sat Mukharitam, from the mouths of the devotees. What is that? Bhavadiya Bhartam. Sat Mukharitam Bhavadiya Bhartam. Bhavadiya means your. He's talking, Brahma's addressing Krishna. And Bharta, just like we have in Hindi, Bhartalap, chats. So just like everybody's busy all day chatting on Messenger and WhatsApp and Telegram and so many things, everybody's chatting all day, all useless things. So Brahma says, actually, we should chat about Krishna, Bhavadiya Bhartam. We should talk about your pastimes, not other things. Bhavadiya Vartam. You should hear about your chats. Stane stita. He said, and you remain in your position. It's not that, oh, I have to give up everything, give up my wife and my children and my job and everything, go to the forest and meditate. No, stane stita. That you remain in your place. You don't go anywhere. Stane stita. But shruti gatam. You go on hearing. You go on hearing. This is the most important thing. Shruti gatam. Tanuman manobir. Vishwanath Chakravarti says these three words are connection with namanta. Namanta means to offer obeisances with body, mind, and words. So if you go on hearing hearing about Krishna from the mouths of the devotees and remain in your place. Now you don't have to give up your job, you don't have to stop anything. Just remain in your place. On one lecture I heard Prabhupada say, even if you don't practice, if you just come and hear about Krishna from the pure devotees. Of course, this is not meant to glorify not practicing. This is meant to show the power of hearing. Not think, oh, I'll just go to the Bhagavatam Katha, listen, and then all day long I'll do all nonsense. No, that won't work. You'll lose your taste eventually anyway. We have seen. So, but it is so, hearing is so powerful. Even if you can't follow in the beginning, you just go on hearing from the mouths of the pure devotees. Those who are coming in disciplic session. Just like everywhere we go, we see so many advertisements that come here, this yogi, that yogi, this personality, this, now he's, I remember when I was just becoming devotee, there was 16-year-old avatar of God. I remember I was sitting in the garden with LA and they were telling Prabhupada that this fellow's coming to Los Angeles. And they came to the temple, they wanted us to go to the airport and chant. Because you're worshiping Krishna, this is the incarnation of Krishna. He's 16-year-old avatar. The Prabhupada said, who says he is Krishna? Who says he is God? Our Krishna, then, all great demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, they're all declaring the Krishna Supreme Personality of God. All sages, Vyasadeva, Devala, Sita, they're all staying. So our business is, we follow the big guns, Prabhupada said. We follow the big guns. So who has told that this is incarnation of God? Anyone has told? Just some foolish people. We accept the big guns, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Vyasadeva, Brahmanujacharya, all the acharyas, they're telling Krishna's Supreme Personality God. And who is told? So Prabhupada told you, go kick on his face. So we don't hear from anyone and everyone, but we hear through disciplic succession. Because it's become very fashionable now. People invent their own paths and advertise themselves as, if you want peace and happiness, you follow this nonsense thing. Just like one time, there was, in American history around the end of the 1900s, or 1919, around there, 1920s, there was they called the Great Depression. There was a financial collapse, like we've had recently also. A big financial collapse. They called it the Great Depression. The people lost so much money, people were very poor. So there was one fellow, he wasn't so bad off. So his friend came to him and said, my dear friend, please lend me $100. And sometime in the future, I'll pay you back. He thought, oh, this guy, he'll never be able to pay it back. But anyway, somehow he wasn't so bad off, so he gave him $100 and forgot about it. Then one day, several years later, he was walking on the street, and all of a sudden, that fellow came up to him and began to shake his hands. And he was wearing nice silk clothes and tie with a gold diamond, a gold pin with a diamond in it, you know, and nice shoes and manicured fingernails, a nice haircut, you know, and everything. He says, oh, I owe you some money, and so I'll give you back with interest. So he gave him $100. So he pulled out from his pocket and said, here, take $1,000. I give you back with interest. He said, hey man, what happened to you? He said, I invented my own religion. So this become the fashion to make money, just like they're always advertising the so-called Bhagavad Katha. This is just Bhagavad business. Sukadeva Goswami didn't speak to become wealthy and build a big palace in Vrindavan. You go to Vrindavan, you see they have big palaces like that. But Sukadeva Goswami, he didn't speak Bhagavatam just so people can big palaces and have nice, comfortable life. He spoke Bhagavatam so people would give up all these things. So we have to hear through the authorized disciplic succession. Just like we were walking around the park, we saw so many mango trees. Now the mango trees, the mangoes on the top branches, they get ripe first because they get the most sun. So they're the best mangoes. But if that mango drops from the top of the tree down straight, it's spoiled. So they climb the tree, somebody picks one, he hands to the person on the next branch, to the next branch, to the next branch, then it reaches to the ground intact. Just like Narottam Das Thakur's got one song about how the ripe mango is on the top of the tree and the little boys are throwing stones, but the ripe mango is still very stiff on the stem. Only ones who will fall are the rotten ones. So people, especially they go to Radhakund and they try to pretend they go to some guru who tells it, yes, you're a peacock in Golok, so you sit like a peacock and cry like a peacock. All these unauthorized things are there. No, if you want to get that ripe mango, then it has to come down through from one branch to the next branch to the next intact. Otherwise, you'll just get the rotten mango. So in this way, we have to hear through disciplic succession. Then we get the knowledge intact. Just like at least in America, when we have birthday party, we have one game that we play with all the children, that they sit them all in a big line and they whisper some message into the first kid. First kid's supposed to give it to the next one, to the next one, next one. And then when it gets to the end of the line, it's completely different. So it's not haphazard like that. This parampara system is very scientific. One lives at the lotus feet of his spiritual master. He's trained over and over again in philosophy. Prabhupada was always emphasizing that you read these books. He was hearing all the scores, but Prabhupada said, you're selling, but are you reading? We have to read Prabhupada's books to get the real knowledge. So Prabhupada was emphasizing, we have to hear again and again and again. This is not a haphazard process like the children's game. But the Guru trains the disciple, and then he trains his disciple, then he trains. It's a very scientific process. We get perfect knowledge like this. One process is climbing process. For one by himself, he tries to climb up. So by our mental speculation, just like I had experience, we just came to the conclusion, we'd speculated the speed of mind, and we come to the conclusion, it's beyond words. There's nothing to be said. And then we look at each other frustrated. Then why did you say that? It's beyond words. Why did you say that? So when I told Bhavananda, oh Bhavananda, all talking is nonsense. He said, yes, you're right. Unless you're talking about Krishna or you're chanting Hare Krishna. That is a transcendental sound vibration that will liberate your consciousness and take it to the spiritual platform. And I was so happy because I knew I wasn't going to stop talking. Well, that was the end of our philosophy. That it's beyond words. Because even before I was a devotee, people told me, you don't tell stories, you tell movies. You don't tell stories, you tell movies. So I knew I wasn't going to stop talking. So now I had something. I could talk about Krishna. And And I remember the first story that I heard was about Lord Nrsingadev. So any new person that would come in the temple, I would immediately take him to the picture of Lord Nrsingadev and tell them, well, so I don't know what they thought. First time they come to the temple, there's some guy there, you know, man's body and a lion head and ripping this guy apart. But that was the only story I knew, so I just kept repeating that story over and over. So this hearing process, this is the way to gain access to the. Otherwise, by this ascending process, we'll just slip on the slippery slopes of the mental speculation and fall into the great abyss of Mayavad philosophy. If you try to go up ascending process, you'll slip down into the big black hole of Mayavad philosophy. Baladev Vijayabhushan on his Mangalacharan for Jiva Goswami Satsandar, he praises that this Jiva Goswami, by his pure nectarine words, he's rescued the shining glories of the great Lord Krishna from falling into the dust storm of useless argument, and finally he says, I'm falling into the deep black hole of Mayavad. Vivartagratena Chaluptiditim. Those shining glories of the great Lord Krishna were lost in the dust storm of useless argument and fell into the pit, black pit of Mayavad philosophy. By his shrewd, his pure nectarine words, Jiva Goswami has rescued those shining glories of the great Lord Krishna. So this, by the ascending process, you will fall into the big pit of Mayavad philosophy. But by this ascending process, from getting it down, from hearing from authority, or those who are actual authorities, then we get real knowledge, then we can make actual progress in spiritual life. And then very easily we will go home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So anyone has any question or comment? I put everybody to sleep. So anyway, if there's no questions, we can all fall down at the very soft and wonderful lotus feet of the great personality who's delivering us real knowledge through disciplic succession. Srila Prabhupada ki.